Okay, everybody, welcome to today's edition of Small Business Breakthroughs. This is a program that we do here at the Small Business Development Center at Columbus State Community College in partnership with the Dublin Entrepreneurial Center, which is designed to provide guidance, information, resources to small business owners that can help them start, build, grow successful businesses here in Central Ohio. And then to anyone who's watching throughout the country, throughout the world, you also can start a successful business doing that. This morning's been a little hectic. I appreciate everybody who's jumped on, who's had challenges getting on. And it's really only been the speakers. So that's only the important part. But we're going to go ahead and get going. I would like to bring in Grady Foltz. Grady is a new addition here at the Dublin Entrepreneurial Center, and Grady is going to talk a little bit about the deck. Grady.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
All right. So I'm actually in one of our soft wall cubicles right now because the front desk, everyone's always in and out, always chatting up over there. So this is a little bit more quiet. But yeah, I started at the deck not too long ago, but the deck hosts over 100 small businesses on the first floor, which a couple of them are in the process of moving up to the third floor as well. But we host them in a variety of ways. They have the option to choose a hotspot, which a lot of companies who aren't going to be here in person a lot will choose a smaller office and a mailbox. So at least they have a home base here. There are cubicles that we offer, both large and small. We have a lot of companies in beautiful hard wall offices that go around the building. And outside of that, it's much more than just office space. We have a lot of collaborative events where entrepreneurs can interact with other businesses and share ideas. And we do popcorn Fridays and a bunch of other cool stuff. On the first floor, we have a networking conference room, which can host anywhere between 50 and 100 people that a lot of people like to use to host events. And other than that, we have the Metro room and a boardroom, which are very high quality conference rooms that are always in use. And then we also service clients with a cafe, and there's a conference room in the cafe that's more of a, I guess you would say, casual type of meeting setting. But yeah, that's just a little bit about the deck, and I'm here to answer any questions, but if not, I will turn it back over to you.
Great, thanks. Grady, if somebody wants to reach out to you about space at the deck or, connecting, I've got grady.foltz@dartpoints.com. That be
Yep,
accurate?
that is
Okay,
perfect.
excellent. As everyone knows who's watched this before, I've been involved with the deck for years. I think the deck's a great place for small business owners, whether they be I'm getting started and maybe they're going to work, grab a hotspot or do something like that. Maybe they need an address. Maybe they need to come in and do some things in the conference rooms or something like Grady had mentioned. I think it's a great location. It's a great place. It's really nice, high-end type area. And I encourage everybody to check it out. And if you are interested, reach out to Grady, and he can connect you and get you what you need to help your business here at the Dublin Entrepreneurial Center. So thanks a lot, Grady. Appreciate it.
Perfect, no problem.
Okay, so we are going to go ahead and get started. This is a program that we've done. I think this is maybe the third year we've done this one. We've been engaged as a Small Business Development Center with the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program since inception, really previous to inception. I remember being in some of the initial conversations, like, well, what is this? We don't know what this is, but it turns out that's a really great program. It's a great program to help entrepreneurs grow and build their businesses. And we are excited every year to be able to talk about this, to kind of help people understand why they should apply, how they should apply, and what they should expect afterwards. And as much as I like talking to Stephanie, I'm really always excited to talk to the entrepreneurs who are part of the program. So we're going to jump in here. We have Stephanie Hall. She is the assistant director here at Columbus State Community College, and she is over the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program. I had to make sure that I added the Goldman Sachs part, because I always forget that part. And they're kind of important. So yeah, so Stephanie, thanks for coming on. And you would like to, maybe you could talk a little bit about the program, give people kind of an overview and what's going on with it, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, that sounds great. Mike, thank you so much for having me back on, and also the phenomenal alumni that you always let me bring along with me, because it's nice to have friends, and especially when they have great stories to share. But Mike, Bruce, Deck, you guys are always great with this, so really appreciate it. The Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program. So we are an educational program run out of Columbus State Community College. So like Mike said, we partner really close with the SBDC, because they're just a fabulous resource for small business owners, and B, we both live at Columbus State together. So our program started back, our first cohort was in 2019. So we've been doing this for a few years now. And like I said, we are a grant-funded educational program. And what we do is we work with a kind of mid-tier established small business owners to help them recognize an opportunity for growth within their business. And then we work them through a roughly 14-week curriculum to kind of put an actionable growth plan in place. We are completely free for those that apply and are accepted to the program. So when Mike said, Goldman Sachs Foundation, yeah, they are a little important, because they are the ones that fund this whole thing, which is phenomenal, because it doesn't necessarily, the quality of program that comes out of it is just amazing. But the fact that they, fund us for everything, it just, that accessibility is just second to none, right? So our program itself, like I said, we work with small business owners who have, proven that they have, established their business, and their business, is sufficient. It's making money. They have employees. So we look specifically for small business owners who have been in business for at least 2 years. They have at least $75,000 in revenue in one of the most recent fiscal years, and that they have at least 2 employees, and really above all, that they are, have that desire to grow their business and create new jobs, because that's really what, props up our local economy, right? Or these small businesses and the job creation. So at this point, I can share a few statistics that just kind of came my way. Actually, I think I got the message this morning that at this point, even though we are 10,000 small businesses, we are at 14,500 plus alumni of the program, which is phenomenal. I was talking with some of our partners on a call earlier this week, and they were kind of reflecting back on when the program started, and it was like, okay, we've got 50, like how in the world are we going to make it to 10,000? And here we are, like almost 15,000 later, right? So at this point, we are marching on 20,000 small businesses, and then I'm sure on from there to 30. The combined revenue of all of the alumni that have gone through our program to date, coast to coast, 25.7 billion, which is off the hook. And then all of those businesses account for 281,000 employees across our country. So it really just kind of speaks to the importance of small business within our community. So our program itself, like I said, we're about 14 weeks. We run the duration kind of an academic semester. This next cohort that we're getting ready to launch starts in September, and it runs through December. And we look at all of the different facets that kind of feed into running a small business, growing a small business. So we start off looking at, at your business and potential growth opportunities. Then we look at financial statements and accounting things and all of the money stuff that everyone is a little bit scared of. And then we move into, more of the soft skill sort of things, leadership, employees, that sort of thing. And then from there, we jump into lenders and lending. We touch on marketing, negotiation. So everything that really kind of compounds itself to help grow those businesses. The cohorts that we put together, we really want them to be reflective of our community, right? So at this point we're super proud that we are about 50-50 in terms of gender. So we have really pulled in a lot of great women small business owners. We take all ages. We are completely agnostic on industry, educational background. None of that matters. It's just the businesses that we serve. Those that go through the program are paired up with a business advisor that's employed by the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program. And what that individual does is they work one-on-one with the small business owners in the program to help them through the curriculum to get to that end goal, to create this actionable growth plan. And, they're also there to kind of, what are your needs to help you get to this and find and connect some of those resources. So again, this really reflects back on, some of the partnership that we have with the SBDC, because, you all do have great resources as well. So we lean in really heavily there when we can. What else am I forgetting, Mike? I don't know.
So if they want to apply.
Yeah. There's a good one.
Yeah. So where are we going? We're going to the Columbus State site, or you have a separate site?
Columbus State site is great. When you jump onto the Columbus State 10,000 Small Businesses site, you'll be met at the bottom with an Apply Now button, and all you have to do is click there. If you want to jump directly into the Goldman Sachs site, all of this kind of channels back to Goldman Sachs, but 10ksbapply.com will take you there as well. The nice thing about our website is it will give you, it will let you know who's on our team, who's teaching these individual modules, what our specific Columbus schedule is. So while, the program site itself has a wealth of information, ours is just nice because you get to see the nitty gritty about our specific program.
Yeah.
I guess the thing that I didn't mention is we are, so the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program is nationwide. So there are site locations from coast to coast, even abroad. I think there's programs in London and Paris. I know they do Puerto Rico. So there are representatives from all states that, there are on the ground sites like the one at Columbus State, but those who might live outside of the footprint of an on the ground site also have the ability to jump into what we call the national cohort that's hosted out of New York. And it is kind of a hybrid thing. So they bring everyone to New York in the beginning and the rest of it is virtual. So there's opportunities from everyone from coast to coast. So the program that you would go through here in Columbus is going to mirror the exact same program that a small business owner in Dallas would go through, or Iowa or New Orleans. There's, consistency among there. So everyone kind of in our alumni community is coming from the same place in terms of experience within the program and whatnot.
Okay, great. So do you need me to give you a reference to get you the college to pay for you to go to Paris to benchmark that particular?
I know, right? I am always game for that. Yes. And yeah. I'll need to take someone with me. So we'll just, use our partnership there, right?
That's right. We'll work that out. Can you talk a little bit more about the curriculum? Because the thing that I like about this is, there's a lot of different organizations that you can go to. It's got some sort of 10-week, I'm gonna do the business plan, things like that. And the folks that you brought probably have been through some of those at different times. But the thing that I like about this is that it was very thoughtfully put together, is intentionally believe it was Babson College that put this together. And it's taught by Columbus State professors in our case.
It is. It
And
is,
so now
yeah,
talk a little more about that, because I think that's a real selling point, because you're going to get some real
absolutely.
great stuff.
Absolutely. So, Mike is right. The curriculum for the program is maintained. So Babson College, and they're the #1 ranked entrepreneurial college in the country. They're the ones that really oversee our curriculum and keep it very up to date. And I can absolutely guarantee that this curriculum is tweaked and adjusted from cohort to cohort based on feedback and new learning and that kind of thing. But the curriculum itself is really cool because while we touch on all of the topics that one might encounter in an MBA program, we do it in a very mini, very intensive, fast-paced version of one semester's worth of work. So we
Right.
start out, and each of the modules that we go through focuses in on a different topic, but they all kind of build on one another. So the learning that you do in one module of the cohort doesn't necessarily exist in a vacuum. Like you'll revisit that in other, learning modules and kind of build upon there. What else did I want to say? In the beginning of the cohort, we first start looking, we have an orientation session, and that is just where we really work with the scholars that are in the classroom to help build this environment of trust, right? Peer-to-peer learning is incredibly important to our program. And so we really want all of the scholars, I keep saying scholars. So all of the small business owners that go through our program, when they're in the classroom, we call them scholars because that's what they are. They're scholars learning how to do all of these things, right? And so peer-to-peer learning is very important to us, and we really want to make sure that everyone is playing by the same rules, and that we all understand that this is a safe space, and we're all here to help each other. So we start out with this orientation, then we kind of move into looking at you and your business, and from there we jump into, okay, well, what's an opportunity for growth in your business? What is that spaced out, big sky, like crazy idea that you can kind of hone in on and, create a plan of action for around your business to really help it grow? And so once you kind of recognize that, then you start diving into all of the other pieces, like, let me understand what my financial statements are telling me. Painful, but I need to know it. And then we start looking at, the money and the banking and your accounts, and we bring in a panel and host a lender's workshop. So you kind of understand, like, when you go to apply for a loan or something like that, where those lenders are kind of coming from and what they're looking for, how to best position yourself and make yourself very bankable. We look at HR practices, like, a lot of times people have family businesses, right? And maybe family aren't the best people performing in that job role. So how do you deal with some of those challenges that come with that? Marketing and selling and digital marketing are always hot. And these are topics that, a lot of people going through will hit, especially digital marketing is the one that always stands out for me, where it's like you go through that and it's like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know that. But I can go back to my business and implement that tomorrow to really boost, some of the things that we're doing. So while the growth plan itself is kind of the end goal and the deliverable of the program, there are still things that you can do as you're going through immediately that will impact your day-to-day business. And like I said, for most, digital marketing is one of those, or even, the learning around the dollars, just the accounting and stuff like that. Like either I need to find out what my accountant's doing, or I need to get an accountant, that, whatever the case may be. Does that answer kind of your question there, in terms of the curriculum?
It does. And one of the things that's interesting to me, and tell me if they're still doing this, or not doing this, but we have one of our team, Ellen Harvey, who is expert in the lending process.
She is.
Been doing it for a long time, working with entrepreneurs, things of that nature. She does a great job. And she participates in one of the sessions. Now, I think this is like the banking session. So a lot of times you'll go to places and it's kind of like, okay, here's some bankers are going to tell you, their spiel, this is how you go to the bank, you come to us and we're going to do everything we need to do. And don't worry about it. It's all going to be great. Well, it's typically not always that, it's more work to it. And this particular session, I believe, Ellen actually acts as the borrower.
Mm-hmm.
And so you actually get to, as a participant, you actually get to watch the interaction with, of a borrower and a funder, and you get to actually see that. And again, Ellen's done this for years. So you get, really people to understand how this works so that when you're going to do it, you've kind of seen the process. You're not, well, I heard this and I heard this from this bank, things like that. This is how the process actually works. And I think that's kind of an interesting kind of thing that you get a lot of in this program.
Yeah, there are a lot of, we have those clinics and workshops or activities where you go in thinking like, wait, what? And then it all kind of comes together, right? So this is one of those, and this is a really fun one because it is kind of a, we kind of flip it. So instead of, learning what you need to know by talking to a lender, the whole role is flipped. So you're kind of looking at the borrower, as the small business owner, you're looking at the borrower through the eyes of the lender, like you become the lender in that scenario. So it just helps you kind of flip the perspective there so that you really kind of know like, oh, these are the things that I would ask. So these are the things that will probably, to really help position you there in terms of like the full understanding of what's going on. But Ellen is so fun to work with and is just, she knows everyone and everything. So it's always a pleasure to have her in the classroom. And we usually have her back too. We have a panel towards the end of the curriculum where we bring in various kinds of lenders. And so we really look to kind of craft that for diversity and lending opportunities as well. So we always have Ellen come in to, when she's available, to come and talk about Kiva or, different other maybe non-traditional funding streams.
Yeah. And I think that probably the greatest session you have is like maybe week 2 when you have your resources panel.
Yes.
Because I'm typically on that.
Yes,
so that's
you are. You always come. No, that's a great one because, one of the things that, while we have small business owners going through our program, and that's kind of what we do, we also really want to make everyone aware of all of the great resources that live in the city of Columbus, right? There's always a lot of things that people just you don't know what you don't know, right? So let's help you. I mean, obviously we can't bring in everybody in the world, but we can work to find those that have, accessible resources, free resources that you might not know about, low cost options, right? The SBDC is one of those. We're always just blown away about how many people don't know the fantastic resources that are available in the library. So, the Columbus Library will come and they have a phenomenal new small business resource center too. So, there's all kinds of things where we really like to get people in the know and really integrated into that small business ecosystem that we've got going on here in Columbus.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to find a panel or something to get Bruce engaged with it. So
I know
he doesn't have enough to do. So let's get him on something. But he,
I know.
And that's the thing. He works with a lot of these businesses and really understands what they're asking and things of that nature. So I don't want Bruce to get, big head here, but
yeah, Bruce, I'm going to be back in touch with you. Just give me a month or so.
No. So, hey, let's jump in here. Why don't you introduce once they finish, are they graduates or scholars?
They are alumni.
Alumni. So introduce our alumni guest. And as you introduce them, I would love for them to kind of tell us a little bit about their business, when they were in the class and, different things of that nature so that we all understand kind of who they are and what they are. And then I've got some questions we'll jump into.
Absolutely. And before I get into that, the other thing that I don't think that I mentioned that is very important for me to mention before I introduce our first alumni is that here in Columbus, we are part of the we're like a Southwest Ohio regional site. So Columbus State hosts a cohort of the program every fall, like September through December. And we work in partnership with site programs at Sinclair College in Dayton and Cincinnati State Technical and Community College. And so, and this kind of flips back to your question about the curriculum too. We share faculty between these 3 sites. The beauty of that is it gives us 3 pools to find the experts in these fields, right? We're pulling from 3 different colleges. We also share business support services. So the BAs that work, and things like that, we're all very intertwined. So, as I introduce our first alumni, Michelle Uber, she is actually, her business is based, she's with Quick Stitch Plus, and her business is based here in Columbus, but she is an alumni of our partner program in Dayton. So Michelle, welcome. Thank you for jumping in to this. Did you want me to go ahead and introduce Fatima at the same time, and then we can kind of flip into business? Or
Yeah, that's fine. I
okay.
just said, want to get them plugged in here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
again,
for
I just
sure.
really want to make sure we understand what's going on with them.
Yeah, and so Fatima Boyer is one of our local alumni here from Columbus State Community College. She is a very new graduate of our program, just completing the last cohort that we graduated this past December. So thrilled to have Fatima on board. She went through our program with her Whole You Wellness Studio, but she is like a master of all trades and has a few other businesses that I would love for her to talk about and plug. So I will turn it over to you, Mike, and Michelle and Fatima to share. I definitely want you to share some about your business and
yeah. So let's jump in. Number one, anybody who has questions about the program or even to the entrepreneurs, throw those in the chat. Bruce and I'll keep an eye on that. We'll make sure that gets asked. But let's go ahead and start out here. Fatima, why don't you tell us a little bit about your business and what kind of attracted you to the program?
Yes. So as Stephanie said, I guess I'll tell you about all 3 of my businesses, but I am the proud owner of the Whole You Wellness Studio, which is an all-female gym in Gahanna, Ohio. I also run a mobile bartending business called Badass Mobile Bartending. And so basically we go out to different venues and support different events with bartending services. And then I also run a virtual assistant business, which was how I started my entrepreneurial journey. As it relates to the program with the Goldman Sachs, I think I was really looking for some support as an entrepreneur, as a leader, just with business acumen. And so I did do a program prior to Goldman Sachs. And then I found out about this one, went through the interview process and was selected for the program. As I was going through the interview process, just really did some diligence in looking into what they offer and how they do it. And I'm big on education and training. So it was really interesting to me, their approach. 14 weeks is a nice amount of time, but the way that the program is broken down, you get a lot out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Michelle Uber, I think, Michelle, you've actually been on this thing before as like one of the first ones we did. I think you were there and I knew you and I said, hey, why don't you ask your question or something like that? I'd have to think back, man. I mean, it was a long time ago.
I did something with during COVID, a pivot session, I think.
Yeah, it's been a long time. But anyway, your turn. Why don't you tell us about you and your business and kind of what attracted you to the program?
I'm Michelle Uber and my business is Quick Stitch Plus. We do embroidery and screen printing for businesses around the country, around the world. We work with businesses on their apparel programs and also their promotional merchandise. So I've been part of working with the SBDC for, I don't know, a decade or maybe more, I don't know. And they've always been really helpful. Took a lot of classes. When COVID came along, it gave me a lot of time to take classes. And I do also enjoy learning, but I just jump right into the classes, just jump in and take them. They don't necessarily all work together. You know, you get a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I had seen the 10,000 small businesses information come through probably in 2018. It was probably well before. And it probably came from the SBDC. Put it on my wall, said, I'm going to do this, but never really thought about when I was going to do it. Just never really, and of course, pandemic hit and I had time all of a sudden and not taking all these other random classes. I decided to really go for it. And I did it so that I could see where the holes were in my learning and shore them up. And that's exactly what I did.
Great, great. Fatima, how did you learn about the program?
Just looking online, researching different accelerator programs, and Goldman Sachs popped up, and obviously the reputation. I was like, what is this about? And the application process was a little intense, but I appreciated that because the way that I see that they vet their scholars out let me know, just again, it was another indicator for me for the quality that I felt like I would receive. Obviously, the name stands, highly respected, but the application process, I was like, all right. And that's really what I was looking for. I've been an entrepreneur for 6 years without any real support from a leadership level. And so strong go-getter, figure things out, very resilient, but there's something to learning. I love the peer-to-peer model. I thought that was amazing to just sit with other entrepreneurs. And I just felt really supported on a multitude of levels.
Yeah. So, Stephanie, talk a little bit about the application process, because it's not just, let me throw this in here and you show up. It's not like trying to get this, right?
I'm glad you mentioned that, Fatima. Definitely something that I would like to share a little light on. So the application process itself is a couple parts, right? So there is a part one of the application. So if you go on and click the button, apply today, that first part that you do, it is really quick. It's just, probably take you 5 minutes tops to fill that first part out. And what that'll do is just ask you some basic information about you and your business and how long you've been in business and, what your revenues are. So it's just, some very basic questions that are very easy to answer. That comes through, and based on, the responses in that part one, it's then kind of determined like, okay, well, this individual in the small business meet the criteria for the program. And at that point, we send out kind of a part two, so to speak, an interview addendum. And so in this part of the program, this is, Fatima, I'm sure what you're referring to, right? We ask for, there are more questions, that are, relatively easy to figure out, but we also ask for supporting documents, right? So we're looking for, your business tax return, financial statements, to really kind of make sure that what you're self-reporting is correct, and that we want to, have a good, robust picture of what this small business looks like. Based on all, once we receive all of those documents back, and, we're able to say, okay, complete package, we're good to go. We also have then, at that point, the next level is an interview process that people go through. So we bring everyone in, and, I always like to say, like, we call it an interview process. And Fatima, I hope this was the case, when you went through it. Like, we really don't want these to be something that's like a stressful event, right? Because that's not how we're seeing it all. It's really just bringing you in, like, let's just have a conversation around you and your business and where you are and where you want to be and what you want to get out of it. So, for us, interview day, quote unquote, is always super fun, because we get to meet all of these people that, we have been looking at, just in writing for so long. It's like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like, and so it's a fun day. Once all of those interviews are complete, all of that is then kind of taken back, and we work with national partners, obviously the Goldman Sachs Foundation, and we work with an organization called ICIC, which is the competitive inner city, they do all like local inner city economies, and initiative for a competitive inner city. And they kind of take all of those and then send us back, the list of, what our final cohort is, like who's in, that sort of thing. So it is a relatively competitive program, and there is, there are a lot of, it's not just like submit an application and you're in. There's a lot that goes into it. But I think, to Fatima's point, that vetting and kind of making sure that we have the right people in the classroom is what helps facilitate that peer-to-peer, that, we're curating also, looking at small business owners, like who's really going to benefit from what we have to offer, and who's really going to be able to make a contribution, in that space. So there's a lot that goes into it, but thank you for touching on that. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you're welcome. And I just want to say one quick point, just from the other side of that.
Yeah.
It was a great experience. And I remember when I came in and I met you and Pam, and it was just like cheery faces, but sitting there and talking about your business and being interviewed, like I will say, from a candidate perspective, like it really makes you look at and think about some things. And I was very serious about getting to the next level. So it was a lot of respect from my vantage point on how we were vetted out. But it was also a little nervous, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it will be.
It was, and you know, I had Roger, so I don't know if you had Roger, Michelle, but I was like, you know, okay. But I also knew my stuff and I also wanted more. So I really respected that. And I guess I just want to encourage somebody who might be thinking about joining, like, don't feel nervous about the process. I would say look at it from a standpoint of, hey, everybody doesn't get in. And I saw another peer show up that day to be interviewed and he was not in the program. And that doesn't say anything about his business. It just says like they really looked at the people. So I felt great being accepted. And that makes you hold value to what you've been accepted for too, because you know everybody doesn't get accepted.
Yeah,
That's
you
a
know,
great
the
perspective.
thing to this too is that I don't know if we mentioned this. You know, it's pretty intense to get in. Yeah, you know, you kind of need, I love your point here, where you are and where you want to be. I mean, that's what you got to be thinking about. But, you know, the intensity of finding the right people that really can take advantage of this opportunity, because this is free of charge to the user. And I don't know that we ever actually mentioned that yet. So, you know, I don't know, Stephanie, if you've got a number that they've come up with that, what would you say the cost, the value, or whatever? Do you have a number for this that they're getting for free?
You know, I did at one point, and that is just a figure that has escaped my brain. I should have pulled that up before we started. What I can tell you is, you know, the budget that it is a very large grant that supports all of the work that goes around this. So, you know, it is definitely not free of charge on their end. There is a lot of money and a lot of resources that are poured into putting this back, putting this out to everyone. You know, one of the things that we haven't talked about that's always kind of cool that I didn't mention too is that we feed everyone. Michelle, you probably didn't have the same experience, right? Because, you know, being virtual but we feed everyone. We have like several meals a day and snacks galore. And, you know, so we take everything, you know, everything that would go into account of, you know, somebody being in this space and really focusing on their business. Everything that we can do to help facilitate that and just provide a good environment for that to take place. So, yeah, it's a significantly, you know, it's a significant program.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just wanted,
Michelle.
Can I add something real quick? Kind of goes back, Stephanie had mentioned the curriculum and how in-depth and everything, but it's different than when you go to school. If you've been to college, you've taken courses or whatever, where they're just talking at you and you're taking notes. You're actually, it's very individualized, and depending on your cohort and the needs of your cohort, there could be additional resources for you where, you know, maybe in a large group setting, you're not going to get those. I had a great group of people, both my cohorts and my business advisor, and they were just amazing people. And I mean, the negotiation module and the blue sky thinking modules were incredible for me to help fuel the growth of my business. You know, that having that tailored approach to your case studies. You have a case study, but then it's how do you tailor that to your business and what do you look for in your business? So really opens your eyes.
So let's continue on that, Michelle. When you talked about, you know, you mentioned 2 modules. Would you say those are your favorite modules, ones you got the most benefit from? Is there another one that you kind of wanted to mention?
Well, I mean, yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
they're all great, obviously.
they're all good. They're all good. The
Mhm.
bank one, I mean, I didn't really think I was gonna need a bank. I've always bought equipment and did a lease and got a bank loan, like 24 hours or whatever. But I learned a lot. And when I went to buy my building this past year, I took that knowledge both from the negotiating one to negotiate for the building, and then for the loan, the bank loan. I had the information. I knew how to, I still am terrible at projections. I will just always be terrible at projections. But I knew what to expect going in. So when they sent me the list of things I needed to do, I knew what those meant. I didn't have to keep going and having them explain to me the different pieces of it.
Right, right. Fatima, what modules kind of jump out at you?
So I actually had two modules that really, I would say, stretched me a bit. One was the conversation around the bank, and we had to basically borrow money or ask to borrow money. So there was like this role play situation. And I'm just like, it was just very intense to put yourself out there to ask for money. My business has definitely been funded by savings and just bootstrapping and growing the business. I was like, I don't think I would ever want to ask, but it put me in a place where I couldn't use any notes and I had to just basically know my stuff. And similar to what Michelle said, I have an accountant. So I'm like, all right, run this report, do this, tell me about this versus dissecting these reports and understanding these numbers and then presenting these numbers and asking about them. So that was a stretch for me, but I appreciated it because out of that, I was able to set up some rapport with my accountant. I'm like, okay, every Monday I need to see these reports and see what's going on. And so we still do that to this day. So I felt like that was valuable, even though I don't want to look at the numbers either. Numbers give me a headache. But the other one was the one where they kind of gave us a fake check and we could like envision our business and kind of build out exactly what we wanted. And when I went into the program, my growth opportunity was to start a franchise organization for the Whole You Wellness Studio. And with this project, I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, I'll be 50 in a couple of years. I'm not sure that I want to run all these different parts and pieces. So then I reframed my growth opportunity to expand virtually versus physical locations. And so that was very helpful for me to see in terms of my work-life balance and my time management, what growth really looked and felt like managing all these different pieces and or locations. So I really reframed like how I approach it. I did end up doubling the size of my building physically. That just happened. But I will say the tools provided in the program also helped that decision become an easier one too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Happened 4 weeks ago.
Yeah. Hey, can you also kind of talk a little bit more? You mentioned the peer-to-peer aspect of this, and I think for existing businesses, that's critical. I mean, you guys both mentioned, hey, there was stuff that I needed to learn more about. I need to learn more of the numbers. I need to do this. And that's great and really important. But the peer-to-peer stuff, the ability to realize you're not just out on an island with this thing and that other people are dealing with similar types of things and how they deal with it. So can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Sure. I will say the classes were very interactive. And while we had the larger group, we had like our smaller groups too that we spent majority of the time with. So there was comfort that was developed in that space and also vulnerability. And so we were able to share like real time, like insights. And it's like, okay, I'm dealing with this. I've never dealt with this. And somebody else who's been in business maybe longer, it's like, oh, this is what I did in that case, even though it was a totally different business. And so I feel like that sort of peer feedback, one, I felt understood, right? While my husband is an executive and he manages a lot of different things, I think entrepreneurs, it's different how we think, how we approach, and how we grow through the stuff that's on our plate. And so I just felt really understood. I felt like it was instrumental in just refining like different strategies in my business because it just felt so relatable. I was like, oh, this is home. It just felt so much like, okay, somebody understands how my brain is working and I'm not crazy. Or I'm not bugging someone either, because I think sometimes as an entrepreneur, if you're around others who aren't in that space, and sometimes we have to be super creative, you feel like a burden where you're like, I'll just keep it to myself and I'll just figure it out on my own. Versus in the classroom, you have a team of people who are figuring their stuff out and can share different scenarios. So I love the peer-to-peer part of it.
The thing about that, and the thing about you just mentioned, and let's say that you don't know anything about the numbers, and that's not your gig, and you don't want to really deal with it. If
True
you're just
story.
kind of a big thing, if you're in a big group, and a lot of people talking, and there's people that understand it, and this and it's easy to hide, and you don't get the value. But if you're in a small group like you're talking about, you can't hide in there, because you're going to have to deal with the subject matter of the day. And that's another piece that I like about taking from the bigger to the smaller and to the bigger. Michelle?
The accountability is huge. You're from the beginning, you are asked to sign your life away for these weeks to make sure that you are all in. Yes, I signed my life away. But the thing is, when it's done, they do additional support. There are classes, there are panel discussions, there's CEO roundtable, there's an app where you can ask the 15,000 business owners a question. Who's the best accountant out there? What can I do for, I need a new idea. And people jump on and help you out with that. We have I can't talk, ambassadors for our organization, for our cohort. We plan activities a couple times a year, social activities, so that we remain connected. And then because we have the 3 different schools, there's a lot of online meetups, so that we have an opportunity our cohort had people from Indiana, Mansfield, all over. So this is an opportunity, the online meetups give us an opportunity to see each other again. So there's that, it's what you put into it, of course, but they do offer a lot of things to keep giving back to us.
Stephanie, you want to talk about the alumni component of that Michelle's talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think it all just kind of builds around what Michelle and Fatima were talking about, the peer-to-peer learning and those connections in the classroom, right? So, the alumni the participants that go through the program, like so many of them come out of the program still connecting with each other, like all the time, right? We've had alumni who end up being on advisory boards for other, cohort mates' businesses. And, so there's a lot of this, quote unquote informal sort of connection that just remains. Like, you become really tight with these people that you're in this class with. And so that's a really nice component of it, but kind of feeding over into the alumni aspect of it, and what Michelle was saying, because we are part of this 3-site, Southwest Ohio region, we have the ability to, so we host quarterly alumni meetups, and those are, kind of arranged. We have these alumni ambassadors who Michelle and Fatima both are ambassadors, from our different program cohorts, who help arrange these meetups, right? And everyone just kind of gets together and talks about, like, what are they doing? Or, hey, you're doing that. Like, let's get together and like have this, I've got this idea, like, let me reach out to you and we'll make that happen. And, so just these, more curated sort of, by carving out a day and a time to meet, other cohorts or even the smaller groups will still get together. Some of those folks will get together happy hour with each other, or lunch, or, meeting up. But we do also have the virtual meetups as well. And so even though we're coming from 3 different cities, everyone in our Southwest Ohio region is invited to attend any of our meetings. We just know that sometimes geographically and time-wise, that can be hard, right? So maybe you can't make a meetup in Dayton, but you'll make this one in Columbus. And we welcome that inclusivity around, like, everyone being part of all of these things that we have. But we, Goldman Sachs Foundation itself, like Michelle was saying, there are these CEO roundtables, and they'll bring in like amazing experts to talk about all sorts of different topics, right? That you might not have access to otherwise. So it really is an opportunity, and there is a platform for engaging with others in other cohorts across the country. Like, it's nice to go like, oh, I have a business trip in, I don't know, somewhere in Michigan. Let me look up and see if I'm going to go out to dinner, but let me look up and see if there's a 10KSB alumni who happens to have a restaurant in this area. I'm going to go, I'm going to go there. So there's a lot of like that we really try to help facilitate. It's a, it again, like what Michelle said, you get out of it what you put into it. And I think that you can kind of make that case for the alumni program, but you can also make that case, for the program itself, right? If you carve out the time and if you spend that time, like, commit to yourself to do it, like, if you put it all in, you're going to get it all out and then some.
Right.
So
Yeah, I got a couple more questions. We're going to wrap up. Again, thank you guys for jumping on here. Both of you, and I'll start with Michelle. Some people say, I don't have time to do this. It's the time. I mean, and it is a commitment. I mean, it's 14 weeks, and it's not just 14 weeks for an hour. I mean, it's 14 weeks all day and things of that nature. What do you say to the people who say, I don't have time to do, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm trying to do business, I don't have time to do
I hear you.
this?
We all know we're supposed to be working on our business and not in our business, and we get pulled into the weeds. I still get pulled into the weeds, but I know the priority. The priority is there to work on the business. If you don't make the time to do what's right, to work on your business now, you won't be able to move as quickly in your business. You're not going to be able to scale it as quickly as you want because you can't do everything in your business anyway. So it's time to, learn what things that you're best at. And this was a really good place for me to learn what I'm good at and what I'm not as good at and what I can pass on. And then take that time that I spent, 20 or 30 hours a week that I was spending in my class when the class is over, and use that time to work on my business, continue working on it instead of in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Fatima, same question. Your thing, especially in the fitness space. I mean, if you're not, in some cases, teaching, you're not making any money.
Right.
So what's your thoughts on the time commitment?
Similar to what Michelle said, and it's also a very frequent conversation that I have with women in the fitness spaces, because people are like, I don't have time. And I'm like, you don't not have time. So I would say, working on our business, we do and should make time for that. But it's a space where it really puts you at the next level, right? So we take care of some of the foundational things. It's like going into it, you're like, oh my God, how can I carve out an entire Friday away from X, Y, and Z? But you just reprioritize and reshift. So sometimes it's what I did. I was like, okay, this is 14 weeks and I have every Friday from 8 to 5, I have to be there. I rearranged some things. I didn't let anything go. Talk to folks ahead of time. Right, this is my 14 weeks. This is what the next 3 months look like. We rearranged the calendar. And it's the same thing for anything that you want something from it. So when I talk to women about fitness and they're like, I don't have time. You don't have 45 minutes. All right, let's sit down and talk about the calendar, because I bet you I can find 45 minutes to prioritize your health. And so for me, it was that important, where it was like, I really wanted to see what the next level of my business was. It was already doing well, but I understand that I don't know everything. And I had never been in a situation where I was learning from someone in a business space as an entrepreneur. And so being, again, big on education, love going to school, don't always have time for it, but I really love what I get out of it. I was like, I'm going to find the time. I'm going to make the time. And that's what I did. And consequently, I mean, I will say I came out even better. I have 2 clients now from the program, just picked up a third, that were all exposed to my business and have been members of my gym since December. And it continues to flow from there. So had I not made time, I wouldn't even have made those relationships and just growing the business in itself. And similar to what Michelle said, I still protect my Fridays. I said, wait, I did this for 3 months and I said from 8:30 to 5:30 in a class, I'm going to do the same thing moving forward. So it just helped me really just set a precedence over how I spend my time and finding the time. But we do have the time. And it just depends on how important it is for you at that time.
Right, absolutely. So last question I have for you all. What's maybe one thing that you gained from being in the program that most people that are thinking about applying wouldn't think about as a gain? I mean, everybody knows, your growth plan and things of that nature. And we've talked about the peer-to-peer and all that. What's one thing that you gained from this program that most people just wouldn't think about that you could gain from something like this? We'll start with Michelle because she looks like she's pondering. So I'll let her go.
Confidence to make bigger decisions to have a bigger impact. We were kind of stagnant for a few years and I didn't really know the next thing. So, looking at all the shiny objects, but not able to really think beyond those small things. So the confidence to think big, to think beyond, and not to shut down the ideas, but to think them through and plan them through. My growth plan turned out wasn't one that I wanted to do, but it got me thinking big again, and then gave me a roadmap for the next big projects. So now we're taking on projects that, are we're writing invoices for bigger amounts than we ever could have thought we would be doing, because I started thinking bigger and bigger.
Great. Fatima, what's your thought?
I love what you said, Michelle, as it relates to a roadmap. I feel like for myself, it just helped me to be more strategic in making decisions and how to scale my business and creative ways to do so. So having like those foundational pieces, like, okay, you want to scale your business here, but have you thought about this? Have you thought about the people? Have you thought about, and there's so many different branches to that tree. And so having something that I can go back to and revisit, and was like, all right, well, when I talked about expanding from a virtual standpoint, this is all the pieces that I went through. Now I'm talking about expanding, in another avenue, go through those same parts and pieces to make sure that it vets out how much is it truly going to cost me, and then what do I need to do to be able to do it. And so I feel like from a strategic thought process, that was great. But I also really love the networking. I really love being able to call someone that I have built a relationship with and be like, hey, you have a moment, can we talk about this? Or hey, can you help me brainstorm through that? And so that has been invaluable too, not only as an ambassador and alumni of the program, but just in general as an entrepreneur. I think that support feels amazing.
Great. Well, hey, I want to thank the two of you for jumping on again, time commitment. So I appreciate you guys coming on here to talk about the program. We're going to wrap up here, but Stephanie, can you restate the qualifications?
Absolutely.
But then talk a little bit about, hey, if you want to apply, let's reiterate that. Timelines. I don't know if we've talked about timelines yet.
No, I don't think we did.
And where they go if they have questions.
Absolutely. So our application is currently open until June the 12th. So plenty of time to hop on and submit that part one. We have, I'm flexible there, but, mid-June is what we're looking at. The qualifications, we are looking for businesses that have been in business for at least 2 years, have at least $75,000 in revenue, and have at least 2 employees. And one of the reasons that we look for at least 2 employees is so that when you are carving out that time on the Friday to be in the classroom, there is someone else there too that can, sustain the business and keep the business going, so that, if you're not in a business where you have complete control over your schedule, there's still kind of someone there who can fill in while you're away. It just makes helping give you the time to work on your business instead of being in your business a little bit easier. So June the 12th, that's our application criteria. And again, businesses that are looking to grow, like we just really want businesses who are dedicated to increasing revenues, hiring more people, growing their business. That's really what our end goal is there. And I'm sorry, what was the other thing that you had asked me, Mike?
If they have questions.
Questions. Yes. If you have any questions regarding our program, our email address is 10ksb at cscc.edu. And you can also reach us if you go to the website that was the kind of link that was thrown into the chat. We have a contact page too. So you can find out where we're going to be for other information sessions. You can find our email address, any of that stuff. There's multiple ways to get in touch with us there. So all of that is also listed on our website.
And the actual class starts when? September.
Our class, so this upcoming cohort will start September 19th, which is a Thursday and Friday. And those are kind of our bookend classes. So we'll be in class all day Thursday and all day Friday. And after that, for the most part, it's each Friday. There are some breaks in there because we do traverse Thanksgiving time and, all of that. But typically on Fridays, and we conclude the program on Friday, December 13th.
Okay. And typically your graduation date is the same date as our capital crash course. So usually down the hall from each other.
I know. So we'll have to see if you all are on the 13th. I think I fixed that for 2025. So
yeah, so
we'll see.
So, and the other thing I want to mention before we cut out here, let's say that you're on here or you watch this on YouTube and you really want to be involved, but you're not ready yet. So let's say you don't have the employees yet, or you only have one employee, things of that nature. That's a great opportunity for you to contact us at the SBDC and say, hey, I'm looking to grow. I'm looking to do some things. I really like what's going on here. And you can connect with our team, our small business advisors like Bruce. I thought Tanya on here earlier, to kind of work on getting yourself moving, getting yourself up and going so that, when it comes around next time, you're ready to jump in. So don't just give up. Say, hey, we've got a lot of resources to support you in that, and working in your business in general. So again, I want to thank everybody for being here today. And I think this is a great program. The Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program is a great opportunity for businesses, and it's a great opportunity for existing businesses that have been doing things for a while and really need to kind of reset or relook at what they're doing. And great resources, great information, great instructors, and definitely something I would highly encourage you to take a look at. And again, you have until, what did we say, June 12th?
June the 12th.
To put in your application, and then we'll kind of go from there. So
absolutely. Thanks, Mike.
Sure thing. So with that, we're going to wrap up. I want to thank Grady and the Dublin Entrepreneurial Center for their support of the program, and encourage you to check that out. That's deckindublin.com for the website, and check out our great alumni guest here and what they're up to. With that, I was going to wrap, but let me do it real quick. Michelle, what's your website address?
www.quickstitchplus.com.
Okay, let's go check that out. And Fatima, where should they go to see you?
Yes, absolutely. It's the wholeyoustudio.com, and I was actually going to type it in the chat.
Awesome.
Okay. All right. Well, that's great. And like I said, we'll be sure to put that stuff in the show notes for those of you that are jumping on YouTube. And we look forward to seeing you later this month. Again, this is a special episode, which I forgot to mention, Bruce. This is a special episode because it's National Small Business Week for the SBA. So we're all celebrating Small Business Week, and we had some great entrepreneurs and great program here. And we will see you May, Bruce, when it's 23rd for the next session. And we look forward to connecting with everybody on Small Business Breakthroughs. You guys have a great day.
Wonderful. Thanks, Mike, Fatima, Michelle. Good to see you.
You too.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Bye-bye.